Hey everyone, in today's pseudo lecture we'll be discussing the human consciousness, specifically whether uploading human consciousness digitally is something that is feasible. Now, this is obviously a highly hypothetical concept, as the question of whether human consciousness is part of the body or is a disembodied, wholly separate entity is one that neither fiction nor religion nor neuroscience has even begun to answer. And yet there are people out there, scientists, who are trying to see if the brain can be mapped as a whole, if neurons can be replaced artificially, and that may lead to answers sooner than we expect. One such hypothetical proposal that has seen more traction than others is the concept of artificial neuron replacement, where, well, it's pretty straightforward. You replace your biological neurons with artificial ones. This also raises a different question, one that is still intrinsic to this hypothetical as a whole, which is, what is the point of achieving artificial consciousness, as in something that doesn't need the biological brain to operate? Because if you're only replacing the neurons, well, you still have a biological brain that will eventually, deteriorate and die. But if you use a completely artificial brain, or you plan on changing brains, then this is actually something that's quite achievable. You could, in fact, be immortal if you simply existed through artificial neurons that could be exchanged in various places. One such group, the Blue Brain Project, has actually started working towards this on a much smaller scale, as they've digitally mapped the framework of neurons in rats' brains, hoping to simulate it with synthesized neurons digitally, which means that they could hypothetically achieve rat consciousness uploading soon-ish, but this is again a very hypothetical situation that has only recently begun to happen. There is also the concept of brain mapping, a complete scan of the brain and all its activities, how they connect and intersect, which would obviously be a huge leap forward, especially in human cases, in trying to understand whether consciousness is connected to us biologically or in a more esoteric way. Obviously, that one's a little less likely, but still, it's something that has yet to be proven factually. Now, one thing that is happening much more recently is the Brain Initiative's complete scan of a mammalian brain, specifically that of, you guessed it, mouse. However, this is something that is a large leap forward in neuroscience, as the complete mapping is not only host of cellular classifications and hierarchies, but also the whole brain. You can see everything happening within a mouse's brain, which is quite a leap forward given the fact that we have not achieved such high standards for ourselves, at least not in such a holistic sense. Obviously, this does not then lead to them being able to extract consciousness from a mouse, but this is a large leap in understanding where it generally happens and or occurs within the brain. If a lot of this sounds kind of like pseudoscience, it's because it is, until any of this is really proven or done with repeated success. This is how the scientific method works. A hypothesis needs to be tried and tested multiple times until success is apparent and or repetitive. Now, obviously, the concept of uploading human consciousness digitally or artificially is for now out of the question. None of the research really points to it being a concrete thing happening anytime soon. However, with the Blue Brain Project and the Brain Initiative, there are leaps being made in understanding how consciousness works, where it is in the body and the brain, and how it connects to us in the body, we make it part of ourself. Now, can I say that I believe that it'll happen within our lifetimes? Not with a lot of confidence, but these research groups and studies show that there is a significant push to understand where consciousness comes from and how it interacts in the material world. So, who knows, honestly, but my answer is probably give it a couple years before you say anything concrete.